Well, here in Victoria, there are yet more job cuts being flagged, but this time not by big manufacturers or banks, but by the state government. Community and Child Protection Services are set for a major overhaul with a complete restructure of the Department of Human Services. Public servants were told of the shake-up today, and a document obtained by the ABC reveals that 500 jobs will be slashed as part of the restructure. Well, for more, we're joined live by our state political reporter, Francis Bell. Francis, which positions are going to go?
Well, Ben, that's still unclear at this stage. We do know that those 500 positions, as you mentioned, will go over the next 12 to 18 months. And I should point out that these 500 positions are part of the 3,600 positions that the government has already announced it plans to cut as part of its budget update in December. Those job cuts will be achieved through the non-renewal of short-term contracts, the voluntary redundancies and natural attrition, and frontline positions will not be affected. Now, the Department Secretary and the Minister Mary Wooldridge, neither of them were available to elaborate any further on this today, but the union is concerned. It is having meetings with members of the department tomorrow, and it wants the department to define what this term frontline position actually means.
Many staff are quite distressed, understandably. Many of them are on fixed-term contracts, so they've been told unilaterally will not be extended. There'll be a staff freeze, so there's no capacity to deliver on services. A very strong commitment that the Victorian Government made pre-election, but also it seems to fly in the face of the commitment that they also made pre-election that not one public servant should be worried about losing their job. It seems that they aren't prepared to commit to any of the promises they made pre-election.
And Francis, what's prompted this review?
Well, Ben, when the Baillieu government came to power at the end of 2010, it did acknowledge that there were systemic failures within the department, particularly when it came to child protection. So this review of the entire Department of Human Services began in July last year, and the proposed restructure, as you mentioned earlier, was outlined to staff today. It'll involve breaking up the 8 DHS regional areas into 17 smaller areas, which the department says will better target the needs of families and children. But I should point out that the timing is interesting. We are expecting as early as next week the tabling of the Child Protection Inquiry report in Parliament, and it would seem that this restructure somewhat might preempt some of the recommendations in that report.
Well, also today, the Labor Party selected its candidate to contest the Nidri by-election.
Yes, Ben, as you'll remember, this was prompted by the resignation of Rob Hulls last month. Labor pretty much had three candidates, Sam Agricola, Jacqueline Symes, who used to work for Rob Hulls, and Ben Carroll. Now, Labor's central panel met last night and resolved to endorse Ben Carroll, who is currently working for Labor power broker Senator Stephen Conroy and has also worked for Steve Bracks in the past. So for the Nidri by-election, the Greens have selected a candidate, but the Liberals are not fielding a candidate in the by-election. So it would be safe to say that Ben Carroll, as the Labor candidate, will be the new MP for Nidri when the polls close at the by-election on the 24th of March.
Thanks, Francis. Francis Bell there, live from State Parliament.